What is going on? Y'all already know what it is. It's Morbius. Today is Tuesday, and y'all know what that means. Another episode of Comic Relief. Let's get into it. What is going on?
What's the good word, world? What's up?
What's going on, family? What's going on, everybody? Salute to you. Skeme, salute to you. Appreciate you coming out. I know you had a busy, long week traveling around the world, making music, making the people appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you for that. I appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Today, another episode of Comic Relief. Today, I'm excited. We got a great people hanging out with us. I'm really excited because this was something that was presented to me, which I love. Skeme, when people like hit me up, and they're like, man, you know what? I want to talk about this, man. I got this on my chest. I want to get it off. Let's talk about it. And pretty much 99.99% of the time, I'm like right there with them. Like, yep, let's talk about it. So enough said. Let's just bring this gentleman on. Y'all already know who he is. The homie, the big bro, John Comics with Kids. What's going on, brother?
What is up, gentlemen? Cheers to you both.
Cheers. Salute to everybody in the chat. Cheers to you. Another great day. John, how you doing? How you feeling? Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you reaching out, man.
I went to my comic shop today. I get to hang out with you guys. This is a solid Tuesday all around.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate that. Oh yeah, but I hope you got some goodies, man. I know you're gonna post it soon.
Let us know. I got some good stuff.
Definitely. And for those who ain't follow him, make sure y'all go in the description and check these brother out. And if you're not following John, you're not following Skeme, grab the nearest comic book next to you and slap yourself 30 times with it because you should know better. And so I mean, I know we got a lot to talk about today. I know the topic, it was people who probably was like, what's going on? I had some people hit me up and was like kind of trying to get a feel for the topic today. And the topic, I know when you reached out to me, you was very detailed in it. You put a lot of, thought into it, which was great, and it really made a lot of sense. And I know the topic that you mentioned was toxic fan culture, and I totally understand where you're coming from with that, and before we get into this topic, why don't we get into the chat real quick? Say what's up to the chat. See who's hanging out with us. Shout out to everybody here. We got 18 people hanging out with us today. And, of course, starting off the chat, as usual, the homeboy, Unruly Simeon. What's going on? Always hanging out with us. Appreciate you, my brother. And, of course, we got another homie in the building. Leroy, what's good to you, brother? Always a pleasure to see you and hang out. And, of course, we got the other little homie, Big Brandon. What's going on, Brandon? Hope everything. And we got another big homie. You know how it is. They don't stop. So what's good, brother? There you go. Everybody's the homie hanging out over here. And we got another homie. Big Daddy John, what's good, man? Appreciate you. And, of course, we got another great brother in the community, man. Daryl, what's going on, man? How you doing, brother? Thanks for coming out, hanging out with us. Of course, we got Alberto. What's going on, man? Appreciate you, brother. This man is doing it big on TikTok. Hold on a second. We got Back Issue Paulie, the homie. What's going on? That's my drinking buddy, like at every con. You know what I mean? He always got a fifth in his like sleeve and shit.
He's talking you into buying shit.
Not even. He talking me into drinking more. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to buy and shit. He trying to get fucked up. Hold on, the chat jumped on me a little bit. Oh, okay, we back. We got Rudy. What's going on, man? Thanks for hanging out. And, of course, we got the homie Joker. Salute. Appreciate you hanging out with us, man. Doing great things. I like the artwork. Always coming up with cool stuff, man. And where we at? Let's see who else we got here. Got the homie George. What up, Ragin?
What up, Ragin?
Always chilling.
I should be seeing him in person tomorrow, so hopefully that's
dope, man. That's awesome. It's always a good thing, man, when you're able to see people in person. Blue Cow Comics is going on, man. It's always a great, man, feeling when you get to hang out after always chatting it up.
Absolutely.
1 second. Jumped on me a little. Hyper Combo. What's going on, man? Appreciate you stopping by, hanging out. And I think we're caught up, guys. Got like 20 people hanging out with us right now. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody who's going to catch this replay. Thank you. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do, so you don't want to miss out on some of this triggering topics and conversations we have. Look at me. I'm over here like studying. But let's get into this topic real quick, man. I want to get started. I know the people here are curious, you know, and guys, definitely make sure you let us know what you think in the chat. Don't hesitate. You already know how we do here. Oh, we got Inja Benja, what's going on? Salute to you. Happy Tuesday. You already know, sis. Always a pleasure having you come through, hang out with us. So let's get to this topic, man. Toxic fandom culture, bro. Like, you know what, John? This is your, you know, your table right now. I'm gonna let you eat. I'm gonna let you eat first. Go ahead, brother.
Let me kick this off.
Kick this off, please.
So I'm like constantly trying to fix my algorithm in social media. I'm trying to make sure it feeds me the things I want. But sometimes I get caught up in like somebody posts a video and I'm like, oh, I know this comment section is going to be just full of shit talkers. And I just want to read all the shit talking, right?
Right.
But before long, I'm feeding this algorithm, right? And it's just feeding it all back to me. So that all I'm getting are this like sort of like grouchy, angry fan stuff, right? And I feel like there's so much hate watching, hate reading, and then they're like, that's like what people want to then produce because it's so fun to consume sometimes. Right. And I think I remember a critic writing for the Los Angeles Times in the movies section saying that like people tune in to read the like shitty reviews, the ones that are like, let me just tear this movie apart. But the truth is like he lived as a reviewer for those movies that nobody was seeing and writing those reviews that promoted a movie that maybe people were missing out on. And I feel like sometimes we lose sight of things and we get lost in crapping on one another. Before we went live, I mentioned to you what really spawned this for me was watching a video on Star Wars and the 3 trilogies we've got, which have seemingly landed in 3 different generations of Star Wars fandoms. Right. And none of these fandoms like each other and none of these fandoms seem to get along with each other. Right. And I'm from the OG. I was born in 77, the year of the first movie. So I'm in the OG crew. And I remember distinctly shitting on those sequel movies, the prequel movies. I mean, just crapping all over those and hating on people if they even remotely liked, even if they like tried to tell me, oh, but I kind of like the third one. And I would just be like tearing into them. And then I watched this video where a guy was talking about how his son loves the newest films, the 3 that they just released recently. And his son had been talking about it, and somebody at the comic shop ripped into his son and was just like just giving him all the crap about why those movies suck. And it was like, it pointed out to him this like toxic fan culture, this idea that people are just like, they would rather spend time crapping on something that a person might get a little joy out of rather than just being happy that somebody's come to the party, right? That somebody's come to enjoy those books or those movies or those shows. And so for me, it was like an eye-opening video because it really brought me to the idea of like, I've crapped on the Snyder films, but like, I love people like Legion of Comics, Mark, who is like, he loves those movies and he will watch the Snyder Cut like monthly. He's watching this like 3-4 hour movie monthly. And I'm like, I hear the haters and haters everywhere swag, right?
Yeah. And but that's the thing. Let's be clear. There's a difference between haters and having an opinion. You know what I mean? Right. So let's be clear with that.
Totally. Because I think we can totally feel like one of those Star Wars trilogies is our favorite and our jam, and the others maybe aren't our favorites, and we can pick them apart all day long. But then there's a difference between that, like, I don't like these, I like these other ones better, and me going on Skeme's video where he's talking about the Star Wars movie he loves and me just shitting all over his opinion. Right. Because that's when my opinion becomes a toxic, like, fan culture element. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm right there with you, man. You know, and I've been on the other side too, where it's like, you know, you're like, nah, man, like, especially with Star Wars, if somebody would have came up to me and was like, nah, you know, the Rey, and she was just amazing, and then her pardon, it would just trigger me, and I'd just be like, yo, you kidding me, bro? Like, for real? Have you watched the other ones? Have you seen the rest of them before you saw these? Like, that's usually where I would lead into. And then if they say yes, it would be like, oh my God, like what's wrong? But now, you know, obviously you're older and you realize things, you see things differently, you learn, you grow. So now it's different. Now it's more like, oh damn, you know, oh well, like that's you really feel that way? Like, all right, cool.
I've gotten out of that. Like when I shit on people, I'll call you up and be like, yo, and you vent a little bit and be like, yo, I can't believe this guy likes XYZ. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even read, I rarely ever read the responses on anything now. You know what I'm saying? I rarely ever do that. And they say never read YouTube comments because there's always somebody complaining or bitching about something.
Always.
You know, so I don't even read that anymore. Like the original Star Wars is my generation. The prequels were shit.
Right.
But for somebody who grew up with that, they might think they like that, you know, but they don't like the originals. You know, it's somebody who likes Space Odyssey 2001. Like
right.
That was my era. So I'm like, oh man, that was great, but it was super, super slow. But it was like my childhood. Somebody now is going to be like, man, that's slow. Like, what is that?
Right. They're fast forwarding.
This was made in a time where that was cutting edge. That was
right.
You know, so I get it, but like, I can't go publicly and shit on people unless someone is really talking shit and being like, you fuckers don't know what you're talking about. And then you got to shut them down.
Well, because hate breeds more of that same toxicity, right?
You're gonna for people to jump on the bandwagon of like their opinions about everything and then just being toxic about it.
And a lot of that stuff is just fed based off the person that they're feeding into. It's not even actual research. It's not like they actually went out, let's say, and saw the movies. You got people who never even seen the movies and are just already hating on them just based on what that, you know, group is saying, and they want to be a part of that group. And now they're following that group. And now they kind of like freaking became like a clone of that group. And now they just regurgitating everything they heard. They just without no actual facts to it that they never even checked themselves on. They just was like, yeah, fuck you. That movie sucked. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, did you see it? No, but you know how many people said it sucked? You know, it fucking sucked.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
the amount of negative reviews for Morbius do not equal the amount of tickets that they freaking sold for that fucking movie. You know, there are people shitting on it that did not see the movie. And that one is connected to the toxicity of the Marvel versus DC thing in some ways, where people are like, I'm a DC fan. If I can get a chance to shit on a Marvel movie, I'm going to take it. Like, people have been crapping on my favorite movies. Now it's my turn to return the favor. Like, you know that they're first in line to launch those attacks. And it's the same both ways. You know? Definitely. But like, why should I feel the need to crap on the Snyder Cut when it's like, hey, the more fans coming into our cultures, the more people checking out these movies, getting interested in these characters, and hopefully maybe one day reading these books, that's just good for everybody.
Like, I feel like a lot of the problem is prior we didn't have social media. So if you read a movie critic's review, you didn't tell your friend about the review. Like, you didn't go to the workplace in the office and everyone's talking about the review. You were the only one who read that person's review. If it wasn't Siskel and Ebert and they were on TV,
it's true.
We all talked about it at the office at the water cooler. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't hear everybody's opinion because all we knew was when I went to that theater, the line was around the corner.
Right.
Yeah, I remember the line. It's for Batman and Robin. People were lining up for that.
Right.
People were all about it.
Right.
Wow, that's serious.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that mentioned Siskel and Ebert, that's you're in my book.
You won that one there, you know, and it was great. I remember we used to watch it, and like I think it came on like at 10:30 or something, like, you know,
on a Sunday night, man.
Sunday night, right?
Yep.
It was love watching that shit, and that was your, you know, how you got your information. You know,
you trusted those guys.
You trusted those guys, yeah. You trusted.
I can't trust most people who give us their comments or they write these think pieces in the Washington Post and stuff like that. I'm like, I can't take any of you people serious. Like all these think pieces and like, no.
What I love about Rage Theo right above that, where he says he wants to meet negativity with a hard flex and a solid dab.
Exactly.
And for me, like I get it on the Star Wars level, like I get it. But once before we went live, we were talking a little bit about generational interest in Star Wars and how my girls, if they're going to pick a Star Wars trilogy to watch, they've seen it all. They've seen everything.
Right.
They're going for the Rey trilogy simply because of the female representation and what it means for them to see like a female Jedi, like front and center main character.
Right.
That representation is huge for them. When they watch the prequels and it's like, we got Amidala and she's always like in distress and being thrown around by the guys and then choked out by her boyfriend. Like there's no real female power players in these movies. And even Leia, like, gets dressed up as a slave and it really just not really like doing anything of substance. So for them, that means something to them. Now they are willing to admit like there are scenes that they hate and moments that don't work and whatever, like story wise that they are frustrated with. But for them to have that screen representation means a ton.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's like, and then what we said also, that's a valid point. But then it also goes back to what I was saying earlier when we were behind stage. It's also a testament to the time. You know, we had Dukes of Hazzard, we had Magnum PI, it was just that, you know, a male driven, you know, mustache having, you know.
Don't get Daisy Duke. She would smack somebody if she needed.
She would smack, and then not only that, but you had Wonder Woman. I mean, there was a lot of shows that, you know, represent, but not as much and on that level that it should be. Of course, definitely, I agree with that. You know, and me having my daughter, she appreciated that. You know, she didn't appreciate Wonder Woman 1984. You know what I mean? But she appreciated, you know,
and
women
my
in general.
I like Wonder Woman 1984. I'm sorry.
What was that?
No.
You just want to go anything I say. But you know, and definitely that is what, like, let's say like my son, like going back to our kids, my son, you know, he's 23. If you ask him what he would prefer the originals, you know, trilogy, because that's what I raised him on. You know what I mean? When he was 8 years old, 7 years old, I started playing those movies for him. You know, and he grew up with that. And of course, and knowing that and having that staple, of course, he's gonna be like, nah, I'm not messing with this movie. And my daughter too, you know what I mean? My daughter is very big with the original trilogy. She's not into the new stuff, but she does appreciate the fact that you have Rey in it. She did tell me that. You know, she was like, that was dope to see that. You know what I mean?
But you guys are in the same generation as me, where we remember like dating girls, and the girls are like, I don't want to fucking watch Star Wars.
Star Wars,
guy film. These are guy movies.
Right. Guy movie. It was
because
a guy movie.
They don't see any representation. The women are background, useless romance characters. They don't add any substance or value to the story. So from their perspective, even then, they were trying to voice that opinion of like, this isn't for me. This was not made for me. That was their attitude. Much like some fans now are like, these new films were not made for me. That's
maybe it was
the generation of fans watch those new movies and they're like, I don't feel like these are made for me. And they weren't, because much like those original movies, my wife was like, these just aren't made for me.
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, I think back then they were just like, this is some geeky shit. Like, I'm not going to watch this geek stuff. Well, like, you got guys with lightsabers and they like, what the hell is this shit?
Now
like,
everyone has become geeky. Everyone will like.
Right, now geeky is being normal.
Before, it's being normal.
Back then, no. So girls didn't like, now it's attractive to women now to be nerdy and geeky and, you know, awkward. Back then,
before, there were those women that was at a Comic-Con or at a
they were there.
It was a small minority
of that they were there.
Right,
you know?
They were there. It was a small minority. Like, it was, I don't think actually remember growing up. I've never seen a woman or female in a comic shop as a kid, right? Unless
she was with her child.
No, unless she was with her dad. And
the dad was buying comics.
And the dad was buying, or because like I grew up with girls who was like, yo, my dad wanted a boy so bad. That's why I'm into Godzilla flicks or Kung Fu flicks, because I used to watch them with him as a kid. So it kind of translated.
Right.
But they didn't just come up and be like, I'm into comic books. I'm going to a comic shop. It was like your older brother, you were a tomboy in a sense, and your older brother or your dad. And that's why. But like, that was rare. Now it's more commonplace.
Paul's got a great comment a little ways up, right underneath Blue Cow Comics. He says, it's okay to dislike something and not trash it. We all have different opinions. Just be respectful. And that's
Exactly.
another layer to this, because when I was talking about
Paul, come
my
on.
algorithm, like
Come on, Paul.
what I was following in on were those people that were like, clearly, if they saw a video with somebody liking a specific trilogy they didn't like, they were just ready to hit that keyboard and get in there and just drop all the things that have been bothering them about that.
Because
whatever trilogy it was.
Opinion matters. Their opinion.
Right.
Here's my thing: if you haven't sampled the whole smorgasbord, your opinion doesn't matter, because a real movie critic watches the good, the bad, and the ugly films.
Ooh, nice.
And they could tell you why that was an ugly film, and they could tell you why this was a bad film, whether it was the acting, the writing, the directing, the lighting, whatever. And they could tell you why this was a good film. They're going in with it with a very, open mind and opinion on things. A lot of people just, I don't like it, and instantly trashing it. Like, I don't. If you're not a serious critic and you're getting paid to be a critic because people trust you, you're just going on and ranting to the other people.
Right. And that's, I think, what that, like, those keyboard warriors are trying to do sometimes is just vent whatever it is that they're dealing with and going through, and not taking into consideration that somebody might still like the thing that they can't stand. Like, I was on a show talking about Batman movies and ranking our Batman movies. I still have a ton of love for Batman Forever, whether it's nostalgia goggles or whatever. Like, Val Kilmer's Batman, like, I can dig it. Like, I can hang with it. And I got a ton of people shitting on me for it. And they were like, dude, how can you like this movie? This movie's horrible. It's one of the worst movies ever. And I was just like, I don't know. I can laugh at it. Enjoy. I grew up with freaking Adam West. Like, I can handle a silly Batman. Like, it doesn't rock my world.
And just said something right. Like, a lot of people are coming out and they're more comfortable with coming out and being geeks, And like I said, like, it wasn't really until my early 20s, which was when I started seeing girls that were like geeky about things, that were like, because it wasn't in my 10-year, 11, 12-year-old era. It wasn't in my 16, 17, 18.
No.
It was in my early 20s where it was like, okay, you're geeky. Like, you're down about certain things.
Right.
Like most girls, because, most girls are trying to be girls with their girlfriends.
Right.
And do girl things, and then later on, it's just like, yo, I'm into this, so.
Which I think there's a representation, or at least an acceptance element to that, because I know a lot of ladies that got into comics because of Sandman and Vertigo and what DC was doing through that imprint, where they felt like, hey, some of these books are for me. They're not always just women in thongs with huge boobs bouncing around. Like, there's actual, like, stories here that I couldn't relate to and connect to. And as much as I love the X-Men, and as much as I think Storm and some of these female characters have really become these amazing icons, when they first were, a lot of times when they were first used, it was like, let's put them in the skimpiest clothes ever, bounce them around, and make them something that guys can gawk at, instead of necessarily giving them really great characters. It took a while for them for Claremont to really craft something that wasn't just eye candy, And I think Sandman was a huge part of that, and I think what Vertigo did was a huge part of that.
It's funny that you mentioned that movie, so that comic. So there was a movie called Free Enterprise that came out 99, 98. One of my favorite flicks. It's a good movie. It's a comic book geeky, like, good movie. And a
lot of love for Star Trek, but looking at Star Trek culture.
Yes. Right. So the one scene where he's in the comic shop, he's in Big Apple, in Golden Apple, or whatever, on the West Coast, in LA. And the girl's buying that Sandman issue. Right? She's buying that Sandman issue, and he comes up and he's like, whoa, I need that issue. And she was like, yeah, well, I need it too. She was like, well, I know you probably think it's cool to buy for your boyfriend or something like that. And she's like, no. She's like, it's for me. And he's like, but you're a girl. And she was like, yeah, and I also read Grendel, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
wow.
Yeah. So it's a good flick.
Yeah, it's a really entertaining movie, yeah. And again, for Star Trek fans, there's a lot of great Star Trek reference.
Right.
Nice. What's going on, Paul?
Cool. What's going on, gentlemen? Good evening.
Good evening, brother.
Cheers.
Ella in the house.
Got to get my Stella sponsorship in.
But yeah, man, it's a lot, when you break it down, there's so many facets to it on how people could just unload on you in so many different ways and so many different reasons behind it. You know, that's another thing. They have their own reasons why these people do it, you know, and at the end of the day, you know, it's sad because you can't allow somebody to live in their own space. You know what I mean? It's almost like they have to invade your space and like interrupt your space and not just let you be, you know, because even when in my story, when I had posted my story and then I was like, yeah, and at FYI, you know, Morbius movie sucked. I saw the movie. I didn't like it. It sucked to me. You know, I was fucking passing out halfway through it. You know, it sucked, you know? So, and I had 3 people hit me up. 2 of them I don't even follow. And one person was like, nah, I didn't. And just that alone was like, old Pete, like old Morbius, would have responded to that totally different. You know what I mean? I would have gotten very abrasive, you know, because that whole nah, I did it. You say nah, like that whole nah, I did it. Like that's how I read into it. Like,
yo, that's fighting words.
Right. And it's like, and then I don't even know who follow you. We're not even, and you just straight, that's the first introduction of who you are.
That's the worst when they don't follow you and they
and you've never interacted and that's
talking
the first
shit.
thing they come and it's like, nah, I didn't. And all I said, I checked myself, I just took breaths and I was like, okay. I said, listen, we all entitled to our opinions. You know, I ain't like it. You know, left it at that. You know, another person again, same thing. You know, the way they just want to tell you, nah, I disagree.
But I was thinking of something, you know, a lot of this toxic shit, the culture, the people talking shit, basically, that's a product of like this, you know. I mean, internet makes it real easy for people to talk shit and disagree with you, you know, because if it's face to face, they might have a different way of expressing it. Oh, that's cool. You like Wolverine? I'm not really a Wolverine fan, but that's cool. You like it. Where online, it's like, oh, you know, fuck Wolverine. He sucks. He's lame. You know, it's like,
exactly.
What am I gonna do? You know, you can talk all your shit you want online.
No one ever ran up on Siskel and Ebert and wanted to fight them. No one. Because they were in public. Had they been on social media, people would have been like going at them.
Oh my God, awful.
Hell yeah. It would have been torn up. You know, and you're so right, Paul. I mean, it's so true. Like we were going back earlier talking about it. The keyboard warriors, you know what I mean? The keyboard killers. Then you got the mouse, you know what I mean, murderers and the mouth mafia. You know what I'm saying? So they're out there, man. You got to watch out for them, man.
Well, so up a ways, Sove said some people have just too strong an opinion they want to die on the cross defending.
Yes, I had right.
And I think that some of that is like internalized, right? They have made their identity this opinion. This opinion defines them, whatever it is. Like Snyder Cut's amazing, or Snyder Cut's the worst thing ever. Star Wars hasn't been good since 1983, or Star Wars is the best ever now. Like people die on their opinions, and it's like, this is me, this is my identity, instead of understanding like it's just an opinion. Like enjoy it. I'm glad you're loving this or whatever. If you're hating it, just don't watch it anymore. But like defining yourself by an opinion is pretty hard.
Yeah, because it's like a sign of weakness or something. If they just did like, oh, you know what? I never thought of it that way. Yeah, that is kind of cool. You know, they can't just say that. They're not comfortable with themselves or something, you know, and it's like they're too proud. So yeah, basically, like he said, they're just gonna die with that opinion, you know, no matter how much like. But I could go into a whole other thing about society in general right now with information and news and just dying on a hill and all that. So that's it's just you know, endemic in society nowadays.
Yeah, and this is just clearly a tiny example of it, because what is social media and entertainment but like a microcosm in some ways of culture, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's like what Leroy's saying here, you know. For the internet, you really only express your opinion to your boys or family. Now it's just easy, you know, shit without having to put your face out there. Say shit without having to put your face out there. And it's true, you know, you don't have to hold yourself accountable, you know, and you're not worried about anybody really holding you accountable, you know, for what you say, other than just a rebuttal, you know, and then they'll come at you with clown emojis or something and just like try to shut you down or laugh at you like, shut up, clown, shut the fuck up. You know, and you're just like, all right, whatever.
But it was like that when we were kids, but it was in person. Like I liked Wolverine. My friend was a big Spidey fan. My other friend loved Captain America. And we would all talk about it and debate and we'd go play or whatever. But it was never like you didn't like ridicule them for their opinion. You know, maybe you busted chops a little bit.
You just rib him. You just rib him a little bit.
Yeah,
He was like,
know,
"No, Superman would beat Batman." You're like, "No, Batman would beat Superman," or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's the same with. I got friends that are like, "No, Miles Morales is the best Spider-Man." No, Peter Parker. Like, yeah, I'm not shitting on his opinion or whatever. I have my opinion. He's got his opinion. Like whatever. But it's when I'm like watching somebody's video and I'm just like, I'm gonna trash this, or I just drop something simple as nah or wrong or
nah.
whatever. Just drop a giant L on a video and walk away as if I've somehow, you know, proven some deep fact about the world because I put an L on your video.
Right. And that's just all is to feed your own ego, feed your own, you know, lack of, I don't know what you have, because to do that, you got to be missing something inside you, man. To have that much, like to want that attention and want that, you know, you somebody's not hugging you. You need somebody to tell you they love you or something, because it's like you need hugs in your life
going on in their life.
Yeah, you're not getting affection or something.
The best example I got of that was like obviously I have a lot of like X-Men stuff in my YouTube, in my Instagram. Like I'm an X-Men head on a lot of things. And I posted this video where I was like trying to figure out who this character was, and I was like crapping on the Black Panther 3 thing with like the son of T'Challa or whatever it was, like, and I was like, I made a comment. I don't know this character Gentle. There's this mutant named Gentle, and some guy just tore into me, and he was like, "How the fuck you call yourself a mutant fan? You don't know the character Gentle." And then he basically like gatekeeped me. He was like, "You're not an X-Men fan. You don't know this character." And I was like, "Shit, man, there's a ton of mutants out there. I'm sorry, I don't know that one."
Exactly.
Right.
This guy thought he'd really done it. He was like dropping an L on me, and I was like. But why? Like, sorry, I don't know this guy. I'll read up on him. Clearly, he's an important character. Like, I guess I blew it.
How could you not know him? I mean,
I know, right?
It was featured on so many video games and movies, and
he didn't like my opinion, so he just picked something, and he was like L, and I was like, "Damn,
that's it, loser." Yeah, and it
again, if it was in person, he would never come up to you like that. You know what I mean? You're gonna find that rare individual who'd be like confrontational like that. You know.
But you know what I like though, like because a lot of people have told me, like especially with the DJing, they're like, "Yo, you're very opinionated." And my thing is, because I've been here. Like I didn't just start doing what I was doing yesterday.
Right.
Like I've been here.
Yes.
Doing this. Everything that you find cool now, I've been doing it for 30 years.
Right.
So I'm not a new kid on the block.
Right.
So when I say this is why if you can't tell me why something is good or bad, I can't listen to you. You have to come with facts. The direction sucked. The character development sucked. Don't just tell me, oh, that's my favorite character, so the movie was good.
Their facts they would give you today is like GPA or something.
Exactly.
You know, nothing to do with the book or the story or anything. Just tell you what it's worth.
Right.
You know.
So it's. I mean, people with their opinion. It's just at the end of the day, everyone has an opinion. Everyone.
Yeah, man. We all got them. It's your opinion.
Some people voice their opinions too loudly.
Right. They want to.
They feel like they just need to spread it like everywhere. Let me just tell you,
they want to force feed that shit. You know what I mean? Like
you look at the page and you're like, dude, look at what you post. Look at those books you post.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, we're not cut from the same cloth.
Right. We're not new to this shit, and that's why. You have people who have problems, even with, you know, the show in general, man. Let's just talk about it, you know, because I have opinions, you know, and it's like, right, but my opinions are based on experience. You know what I mean? It's not based on me just wanting to talk out my ass or that I saw a whole bunch of YouTube videos about guys who do this. And then now I base my whole, you know, existence on that. No, my existence is based on my 35 plus years of collecting comic books. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm able, like, you know, Skeme just said, you know, I'm able to say what I could say is because I lived it. I'm living it. You know what I mean?
You don't have first-hand experience.
First-hand experience, exactly.
Like, I don't care what college you went to. If you didn't work in the field or in the streets doing what you went to college for, like, don't talk to me, because you got a degree, you got a piece of paper, but I actually did the job.
Mm-hmm. Right. Facts. And we got to remember, man, like not for nothing, man. I had somebody try to talk to me about collecting, and I'm like, yo, how long you been collecting? Oh, I've been doing it for 1.5 years, 2 years, you know. And I was just like, all right, slow down.
I gotta go.
Okay. Slow down, take it easy. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, they tend to forget that just because, you know, you got 10,000 followers, don't make you, you know what I'm saying? Like the man or the fucking president of comic books. Right. You know what I mean? That don't mean shit to me. You know what I mean? Like, what matters to me, I'd rather know that you got a serious collection over anything else. Like, that's all I care about. That's all I care about.
Like, what I value more than anything is a person willing to have a dialogue. And what I've always loved about this show, and what I've always loved about the crew that you always assemble, is the willingness to hear a discussion. So, like, I don't know everything. None of us know everything. So as much as an X-Men fan I'm always reading new runs that I was like, crap, I never read Tom Taylor's 12 issues on X-Men Red. Like, I just never read it. Like, here it is. Now I got a chance to read it. Like, I'm always happy to hear the discussion because it might enlighten me on something that I hadn't considered, much like that Star Wars video. Hearing this dad talk about his kid enlightened me on an idea that, like, I've been shitting on these movies and hurting probably some fans' feelings when they were like, damn, that movie meant a lot to me as a kid. Like, I saw that. It was the first Star Wars movie I saw in the theater. And, that seeing Phantom Menace meant something to that kid. Like, it was like an experience that I don't want to take away from him, that joy that he got sitting down and watching the pod race the first time and jamming to it and then getting the N64 game and playing that and what it meant to him. Like, that's awesome. I don't want to rob him of that just because I think the movie sucks.
Well, because you know what people see.
You guys are real quick. I know people are saying that, I like to listen. Yeah, I do like to listen about stories that I've never read or comic books I never checked out. But you trying to tell me how to collect comic books? That's what please, somebody type here something I never heard of on how to collect comic books, not anything outside of that. Please enlighten me. I would love for somebody to tell me something I've not ever done or heard before already. Please. What new way of to collect?
Get a complete Green Lantern run.
Yeah, man, fuck Green Lantern, man.
Jeff Johns run. Jeff Johns all day, Skeme.
Now, when it comes to learning about new reads and new characters and new books and new stories and events, I'm 100%. So if that person would have been like, yo, have you ever checked this out? And I would have been like, no, I haven't.
I'm not familiar with this green character.
Read that
Far Sector, man. Far Sector is amazing.
I have no problem saying that. You know what I'm saying? But when you're going to tell me, yo, make sure you start collecting this way and you buy this book and look at variants, slap.
Yo, Morb, you really need to buy that Green Arrow 78.
Peach Momoko, exactly. Get this Peach Momoko cover. Like, slap. You know what I mean? Stare at your comics face to face to avoid the spiral. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's so that they can make out with each other.
So I believe I saw a video on that on YouTube at one point.
Yeah, I've heard of that. It's nothing new.
And that's the other thing too. People with like everybody has a YouTube channel to voice their opinion on, like, face to face, so you don't get the spine roll. And it's like, where did they hear that from?
Right,
like,
where they get that from?
Came up with, because if you were a legitimate writer for a magazine or a newspaper, they hired you because you were qualified. Now everyone can just start a YouTube page and instantly become qualified, or so they think.
True.
There's no checks and balances going on.
Right.
No credentials.
There's no credentials.
No. Everybody's an expert.
Everybody's an expert.
Right, because getting a platform doesn't require any effort.
Anything. Anymore, anybody can do it.
A platform just requires paying for a website.
Right.
Let's take it back to the music. I'm going to relate it to the music because we do hip hop here.
And we got to get into sports too, because I know that PJ dropped a comment right off the bat that I think was fire. But
we're going to jump into that right after that. Yeah. So it goes back to what we're saying, that anybody now could just, be an expert. Anybody is able to get that platform and create that platform for themselves. Now, when back in the days, when you was trying to be an artist, and it was the most, everybody had, like nowadays, everybody got studios, everybody got equipment, everybody got mics and all that. Back then, you didn't have that accessibility. You didn't have the access to these equipment like that because it was just, they weren't creating equipment that was able to do all these things they can do and for cheap, for good money. No, you couldn't get this. You had to pay for studio time. You had to invest in yourself, which meant you had to believe in yourself. So now you have people who, because things are easy to get, it's easy. Oh yeah, I'll just pay $40, pay this $100 here, boom, no problem, done. But back then, trying to pull out $100 to record a song, that's big money. You know what I mean?
I used to shit on people who was like, I make beats on Fruity Loop. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You didn't spend $1,500 on an MPC?
Right.
Like,
and chop that bitch up and fucking drummed it out. And
you downloaded a program and it became too easy. And
the program
no, you're not.
Right. No, you're not a producer. So it goes back to that back then you really had to put in that work and there wasn't a lot of you out there. Right. So when we would go block to battle guys, it was always that one dude or those two guys from the area that everybody knew rap.
They're trying to build their game,
and they're trying to build themselves up. You might have heard of them. You might have been like, "Oh yeah, I know who that is. Bring him. I'm ready for him today."
You could even go a generation earlier and talk about the guys who wanted to go record records.
Right.
Like you had to pay a studio and a technician,
the engineer, you had to pay for the production,
to print those records. If you wanted to get something pressed, like it was a legit. You couldn't just go in your basement and make
and do it yourself,
podcast, whatever.
Right.
Like you put in the work so that when you got into that studio, you used that hour to the ends. Like you didn't waste any of that hour. You wanted to be in that studio recording music the whole time, not messing around.
Right. And that's the thing. You spending $100 on studio time, you are 100% there. You ain't fucking around. You making sure that you're trying to get it done in one take, so you have time to edit it and mix it down. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of work that went and a lot of dedication and that went into it.
You had to be ready before you walked into that studio.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You had studio
$100 an hour.
When we was D&D studio. $100 an hour at that time.
And just think, so when I was going to the studio late 80s, early 90s, $100 for a kid who was 17, 18.
Come on now.
Your paper route had to be really strong.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? To go to the studio.
Oh, that hustle was serious.
You recorded, you didn't mix because you ran out of money. So you had to wait another couple of weeks to go back to mix.
Yep. And it goes like, and that's what it goes back to, you know what I mean? That now there's this sense of just, I could do it on my own. And the fact that I could do it here gives me the entitlement and that, ability to say that, yeah, I got this figured out. I know what the fuck I'm doing. I know what the fuck I'm saying. So I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want and you're going to take it and I don't give a fuck. And this is just my opinion and I don't care. But it's not even that I don't care. It feels more like it's my opinion. And I feel that everybody needs to know. Right. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that everybody needs to know this is my opinion. You
can't grade the credentials anymore. You can only grade the product you're given because you don't know how many hours of blood, sweat, and tears went into that. You don't know how many days of saving up went into that final product. All you can see is, hey, I made this. And maybe it took them an afternoon, or maybe it's taken them years of effort and time to create that.
At the end of the day, it's show and prove. Yeah. It's show and prove. Whatever it is you're doing, show and prove. If you're that ultimate collector, okay, let's see the collection.
Let's see it.
And I want to see a broad collection. I don't want to see like one type. I want to see a broad collection, a little bit of everything.
Right.
Unless you're Paul. Like, Paul has everything of everything.
Everything of everything.
I thought you were about to say not just all Marvel, like Paul.
But Paul, your take on you had. I know John. He wanted to make sure we touch on your take.
Well, I just wanted to mention a really great indie movie called Once about recording music. An Irish musician who played on the street. He just has a guitar and he would break, and then he gets a chance to record in a studio and spends basically like overnight, like 12 hours overnight trying to record. Like it's just a great example of like people who put in the hours and get a shot, right? That take a shot moment and really can hit a home run. So I think you can. The proof is in the pudding, right? You can see the guy put in the time to get to where he's at. But sorry, I didn't want to interrupt the sports. We got to get to sports.
We got to get to sports.
That's a whole other can of
all
worms.
these freaking Yankees fans on this side over here. I don't know what that's all about.
Let's get it. Again, John. Paul. Go ahead. Break it down.
Just toxic fans are annoying, as I believe I phrased it. Is like I as a Yankee fan, I live in New England. I live 40 minutes from Boston, so I had to grow up with that kind of weight on me a little bit. So we had to have our defenses up but at least I'll say, at least back then it was face to face. If we were on the playground or we were playing or whatever, it was like I played a lot of sports when I was a kid, mostly basketball. I played in some leagues and tournaments and stuff. And basketball is like the most like shit talking, like man up, but we had thick skin and we would just leave it at basketball. After the game was over, good game, whatever. Nowadays it's like different because they don't know how to take like a dissenting opinion anymore or even some shit talking. Now everything's gonna devolve into a fight. But anyway, so as far as Red Sox fan, in the area I live, I'm outnumbered a little bit. So
how many Wade Boggs fans did you have to deal with?
Well, until he was on the Yankees riding a horse around Yankee Stadium. I mean, that was that all went away. So as a kid, we're probably all roughly the same age. So growing up in the 80s, I mean, I have to concede the Red Sox were the superior team. I mean, with Boggs and Clemens and Bruce Hurst and Oil Can Boyd. I mean, they just had Jim Rice. They had a much better team. The Yankees were kind of like Don Mattingly, I guess Rasmussen as a closer, and that was about, I mean, not Rasmussen, Righetti. That was about it. So it was different.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah, Dave Righetti. Yeah, I think he went to the Padres or Giants or something after.
Yeah, I think he did.
So it was tough to kind of take. So I find, and now obviously this last couple decades, they won some World Series. So now they're kind of insufferable to listen to them. But so I find them annoying, but it is what it is. They've been winning, so they can talk their shit.
But then that's the other side of the coin, right? Being able to take somebody's opinion, to just take it and be like, what it whether you think it's based in fact, whether they can back it up, or whether you're just like, it is what it is. I was in Boston for a film festival and I was hanging out just like near the L, and I was just chilling, relaxing, and this guy just turns to me. And I'm not a sports guy. I wasn't wearing any sports gear, nothing. This guy's like, can you believe these fucking bums? Like, it was the day after Monday Night Football and the Patriots had just played. And he wanted to like, he was like ready to launch into a whole thing on New England. I hadn't said anything. I hadn't done anything. I was like, he was ready to go. Like,
that's that passion. That's that passion.
Right?
I feel like up in this area in general, there's a lot of between sports and kind of everything else. I mean, we all tend to have a lot of passion. So we come across, even myself, I mean, sometimes when I'm trying to talk or just express stuff to people, I might move my hands, I get loud, I probably sound a certain way, and people think I'm angry or I'm, they kind of take it maybe the wrong way, but it's just like a product of our environment up here. It's just how we communicate, I guess. That, and I got 6 older brothers, so we had to like speak loud and kind of,
like
I'm the youngest.
The opinion thing, like with the question that always pops up on ESPN, the GOATs. And people are like, Jordan, because that's my era. Like,
agreed.
No, LeBron's a much better. And I'm like, well, the game is different. The game is played a little different now.
Right.
Jordan changed the game.
Right.
He changed the game. LeBron didn't change the game. LeBron changed the business of, hey, let's all jump ship and go on this team.
Do I sound super old if I say Wilt the Stilt?
Well, Wilt. I mean, but for the new era,
for sure,
meaning like the '90s era.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm just heckling because I always feel so old when people are like, it's LeBron versus Jordan, and I'm like,
no, it's really Wilt. It's
Bill
really
Russell and his like 11 championships.
Right.
The
people would say the game is different. They don't play like that anymore.
It is.
So it's like you can say eras. Like
I would average like 30 a game in the 60s, I think. Back in the day, back when I was playing ball, I'm sure I wouldn't have, but I feel like I would.
Era. You know what I'm saying? Like that era. And then I mean, without Dr. J, there would be no Jordan because Doc was the guy who was dunking. And then Jordan became the guy jumping.
Michael Thompson, like some of them high rises back in the 70s,
Right. So, when people, and I'm like, yeah, although the game is different from Jordan and LeBron, Jordan is still the GOAT over LeBron. He's still the GOAT over LeBron. You know, and people are like, but look at the numbers. Yeah, look at the numbers. Like, Jordan didn't have it all. He made people better around him.
LeBron he didn't go to any super teams, you know.
And he didn't jump ship.
Right. They didn't do that back in the day. You just stuck to where you were drafted or whatever, and you just made the best of it. Whereas now they just, you know, they just travel to where the it's like the buddy system, you know. Let's all go team up on this. Kind of like we did on the playground as kids. Like, I don't want to play with the scrubs, you know. I wanted a couple of dudes who had some game on my team. So I guess we all did that.
But like, you know, we were joking too before we went live about the fandom that says like it's totally cool to wear my Nomad jersey when I'm just walking around and be like, I'm representing, like I'm in my cosplay as Nomad.
Sports cosplay, bro.
Versus, and then, but I'm gonna turn around a second later and be like, do you see that fucking nerd with the Superman shirt? What the fuck is that guy all about? Like,
and you're over here wearing another grown man's fucking jersey.
The toxicity, right?
Yo, hey, Morb.
What's up?
Is Rage your homie? Because he talked about LeBron's the best all-around complete player. Is that your homie?
Yeah, Rage. Oh, Rage. Yeah, that's my homie. But he young, man. He young. He
gotta stick Rage, to swords calm down, man.
I was gonna say scroll up to JD above that, Magic and Bird. I don't know if you guys are watching Winning Time on HBO. From the one of the writers, Rodney Barnes of Philadelphia, doing a great job on that HBO show, Winning Time, looking at the Winning Time Lakers, the Showtime Lakers. So cool.
Yeah, man. Everybody's now getting all into the sport. They're like, yo, I disagree, this and that. It became a whole.
I'm a Celtics fan, but I'm a realist. I mean, obviously, Jordan is the greatest basketball player who's ever lived, probably, and will ever live. I respect these dudes today, but they're not Jordan.
They ain't Jordan, bro.
And he went to go play golf and went to go play baseball.
He did it all. Exactly, bro.
He made freaking movies
for the White Sox, minor leagues.
Made movies.
Yup, made movies. He did it all.
He would never been a Space Jam if it wasn't a Jordan.
Right.
Even his
who
Space
footsteps
Jam
is he's following? You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So, guys, we got about a couple minutes left, which is great. Because it's been such a great show. It's been a great topic. I think everybody's been enjoying themselves, and I think it's pretty much, you know, it's self-explanatory when we say toxic fan culture. You know, in the sense that, you know, we're living in a toxic environment. I mean, you got, you know, I see a lot of these videos where you have people outside of this, you know, just people, you know, parents, you know, bringing that toxicity to their own children, you know, passing that toxicity to their children without even realizing it, you know, and it's crazy, you know, out here, the times that we're living in now, where it's almost, that's normal to have that toxic mentality. It's normal now. That's normalcy.
Right.
You know, and that's
very normal.
Right. And that's the scary part about it, you know, because us, unfortunately, we're from an era where we didn't have this toxic. So we're able to see through, you know, read between the lines. We're able to see through that toxic fog. But you have a lot of people who this is just normal to them. They were raised like this. They grew up like this. This is the people around them. Their environment is like this. So to me, that's we're fighting an uphill battle when it comes to this, because you have entertainment, you have movies, you have so many things that are backing this toxic mindset. You know, you have the media, you know what I mean? You have all this stuff that is just pushing this mindset. So I think we're going to continue dealing with this shit where people are just going to feel great and feel like they need to shit on people for no reason.
It's here forever. It's here.
Yeah.
It's going nowhere.
Yeah. John,
I think I want to firstly say hey to DJ Wiz in the chat, because he came through.
Oh, DJ Wiz, I didn't even see him.
Yeah, he was coming through saying hi, and he was going to catch the replay.
Oh, damn. I didn't even see the brother. Salute, DJ.
But to Daryl's point, he says, before you go, address some of the YouTubers making videos that are just trashing people like Comic Skaters or whatever. Like, I think the point is, like, it is here to stay. Skeme is totally right. This is not going anywhere. But to, like, circle back to what launched me on to discussing this whole thing was a desire to fix my algorithm. And so I wanted to feed my algorithm the positive stuff that I enjoyed more, that made me want to engage more. So when I saw somebody just like shitting on stuff, it was like, fine, you know what? I'm not going to like comment on him and go back at him. I'm just going to unfollow. I'm just not going to deal with it.
But that's a hard thing to do for people.
It's so hard. It takes a ton of effort.
Like, legitimately, my timeline is so pure and clean. It's virgin. Like it really is. Like, because I made the point last year to unfollow and not even engage in nonsense. So I don't see anything negative or like stupid until somebody tells me like, yo, check this out. And then I go look at it. I'm like, why did I do that?
But then like, I also make an effort. I make an effort to find videos where somebody, you know, makes a great video, and I make an effort to make sure I comment on that and I say something that I'm like, you know what, this is great. This is what I'm looking for. So that again, I want the algorithm to learn something. I want to learn something. I want to keep reinforcing the stuff that I want to find more of and get rid of the crap I'm done seeing, you know?
Watch animal videos and your shit will be filled with animal videos.
Exactly.
Animal videos and comic book collectors and just collectors in general.
Right, that's what I watch, really.
I looked up a fucking iguana once, and all I get is like lizard videos all the time.
That's it, bro. You're good, man. I got nothing but cats and dogs and fucking.
Yeah, it's like once you go down that rabbit hole, it's like forget it. But I was thinking of something about the toxic YouTubers, and
man,
it goes into IG quick because me and Morb were talking about this. I don't even know if it was yesterday or today, one of these days.
Every day.
About this dude, I ain't gonna name the people or whatever, but there's this one dude. He's got a serious axe to grind with a very popular YouTuber. I used to see him post shit on IG, so I kind of I had long since unfollowed the guy, and then it was almost like, well, you almost gotta block him because I'll still see his dumb shit occasionally, you know. And the other day I'm watching a YouTube video, and so sometimes I like to peruse the comments just to see who commented whatever. And there he is. He's commenting on a video, and it's not complimentary of the YouTuber. He's basically that same shit I saw him saying a year or two ago. He's still it's like, dude, just let it go, man. You're not.
Nobody gives a fuck.
To like, you're not saving the community. So
right, like, and that's the thing.
Nobody cares. Right.
Get Paul. My bad.
No, I was basically just saying, like, it's like. Your point has been well made across numerous platforms at this point. Everybody knows what you think about this dude. Just leave him the fuck alone. Like there's no further gain by it other than like, look at me, I'm talking shit on this guy's video. You know?
And it's that he's made that negative perspective his entire persona, right?
It's kind of going back to before, right? Dying on the hill, I guess.
Instead of saying like, you know what I wish we had more of, and then creating that space, that comics explained kind of a space where you're like, you know what, I want to do something where it's about the books, it's about reading, it's about talking about, it's not about spec. Instead of making that your channel, you've defined yourself by this toxicity, right?
It's like what Daryl just said, you know, these people are miserable, and it's true. Misery loves company, and they want to pump this energy out to bring that same type of people into their circle to validate what they're feeling, what they're saying, and feel like, yes, I am right. I knew it. I'm right. You know, and it's like, no, bro, like really let it go. You know, because at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter. You're not changing anything. Nobody cares, you know, and these people will be the first ones to tell you, well, I'm trying to, you know, save the community. Save what are you talking about? What are you, Captain fucking Save a Comic Community over here? Like, the fuck out of here. Me and Paul be saying that, like, yo, man, you ain't saving nothing, bro. Like, you ain't saving a god. You want to save a community? Save your own community. Go outside, go pick up some trash, bro. Go help an old lady cross the street. Like, you know, do something.
Go put in some work, man.
A real world, because what you talking here is just all for views and all for attention. You know, it just is ridiculous, you know. So exactly what Paul was saying, these YouTubers, and a lot of that translates over to IG, where you have this toxicity, you know, with these people who just want to promote like, I disagree with CGC. I disagree with Slabbin, but you're not going to see me freaking going ham and shitting on everybody and going crazy.
Emailing CGC, talking shit. Or it's like, just
no, you just crack them open.
Right. I just crack them shits open.
That's the fuck you. That's the fuck you.
And never send these in.
I'm going to win at the end of the day, so it's all good. You know, it's
you know, that's what we do.
Keep slabbing them, and I'll keep cracking
them. And I'll keep cracking them. You know, but you know, at the end of the day, guys, you know, I think that this is something that's not going to change. Only going to get, unfortunately, worse, because you know it seems to be something that is being fed constantly. You know what I mean? It's the gasoline is constantly being thrown on this type of, mindset that we're dealing with.
And that's that like classic fable about the Native American fable about the two wolves at war inside of you, and which one are you feeding? Like which one are you feeding? Like they're both going to be there. You're not going to get rid of it. It's not going away.
Never.
What do you want to feed? Like, what's going to motivate you to do something better or to create something better? Because my attitude is like, if you don't like what somebody's making, then you make the thing you want to see. Like you make that, put that effort in. Because I'll tell you, guys like Comics Explained put in the freaking work.
Fucking work. He does his
and
thing.
that's why he's a success doing something that's not spec. He's just trying to make good content about
good content.
Pure stories, though. He's just giving you like the stories. I mean, that's back. If you bring it all back to the essence, right? Take out the spec, the fucking resale value, the slabs, the grade, and everything else. You just go back to the essence of it. That's what brought us all into it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that, man, what John was just touching on, it all goes back to that. I got distracted. Somebody was saying real quick, brother John Comics here, he was saying people that try to dress their toxicity and negativity up as critical thinking drives me bonkers. Exactly. If they have some level of thought higher than, like if they have some level of thought higher than others. Exactly. There's a big difference between critical thinking and just fucking, filling your fucking ego up with bullshit and thinking you know shit, because of base. Like I said, a lot of these people, when you actually break them down, like even goes to comic books, when you talk to people and they want to, debate you on stuff, and you're like, okay, well, how did you come to that conclusion? Like, what was it that you read, and when you challenge them on that, that's when the conversation now becomes something else, and it's like, okay, you see, you didn't read this shit. You're just talking based on shit you heard. You did not read the books that were
Morb. That goes back to a long time ago. You did a show. It might even been when you were still with Justin, and you guys were talking. And I believe you said something to the effect, or if not word for word, you can't be a collective if you don't read the comic books. And everybody a lot of people kind of took that like, against that opinion. And it's kind of like, but you can't really be against that opinion. I mean, you can't. I mean, because by that definition, then you can collect anything. I can go collect sand, like I mean, if it's not like, like you can't collect. I guess you can collect comic books and not read them, but you can't be like a comic book fan without reading books.
You're not a fan, right? You're not.
I don't see how you can. It just they're too like. Then why else are you a fan? What made you a fan of like this particular book?
Money.
So
money,
money,
right? I mean, essentially, it's. But I saw links before. He commented. He said that do trashing like CGC or that kind of thing is like low hanging fruit as far as like for doing YouTube videos. But I would also throw into that same category like top 10 list. Like Morb, I was telling Morbius earlier today, why do these guys keep doing these hot books, spec books, top 10 lists? You know why? Because I bet you if you ask them, they tell you that's their most watched videos.
Yep.
That's why it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're just going to keep doing it because they keep getting more attention for it. Because I know YouTubers I follow who didn't do that shit before. They talked about books and story and creators. And you know what they do now? Top 10. Top 10
spec.
So,
and that's why I did this. Like I said it many a times, and I respect everybody who does it. And I've said it many a times on here. I've said it to people who do it to themselves, who do those types of shows. I'm not into that. I do not like watching those shows, because it has no interest to me in the sense of why I'm into comic books. The top 10, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in even, in other things, of those type of genres. I'm not into that. It doesn't drive me when somebody's like, oh, unless like it's something really cool. I know the person, I'll definitely tune in to support. But on general, I'm not looking for a top 10 or definitely a spec video. I'm not.
That's the challenge that I think Skeme was mentioning of like reprogramming your algorithm is like that's the stuff it's naturally going to want to feed you. And you got to make sure not to click that shit. You got to back away from it and then seek out the other stuff that's like, oh, my man, Slim Comics is doing a fun look at his favorite image books. And it's like, that's not going to rank in the top 10 spec video lists, but I'll get a lot more joy out of it. My man Slim will get some benefit when I drop a comment on that video for him. It'll improve his algorithm and mine at the same time. And I've now like put those blinders on,
The only top 10 list that you would ever see was this week's top 10 and what they made at the shop. Like what was the top 10 selling
selling
at a shop.
At the shop, right?
Because it was like, oh, X-Men sold 32,000 this month, and so and so. So, but like all these other spec videos, it's just like, yeah, those are what's going to get the hits by everybody, because everybody's like, oh, what? Yeah. What's going on? What's the hot?
And you know what? Most of these fake ass collectors today know what they go do when they watch that video. They go run into their 3 half boxes and try to see if they have that book.
Yep.
The 3 half boxes.
eBay and they buy it.
Yeah.
Then they go to eBay and buy
exactly. And some of these things have the links to bring you right to eBay.
So eBay, yep, and they go right to eBay.
And guess who gets 10% when you buy from eBay when you do that?
I'm sure they do.
Yes, they do.
Follow the money, right?
You collect it.
Like the news is always, we're going to do crime, fires, deaths, blah, blah, blah. And then the last 2 minutes, like, oh, look, little Johnny graduated from school today and they threw a big party. Why is it that the last minute is little Johnny graduated from elementary school and the rest of it is doom and gloom?
True.
Right? Because that's what's selling. People aren't watching the news to hear about this elementary school graduation at this school for these kids.
Right.
They want to hear what happened today with the fire and what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what the spec list and all these.
What happened in Brooklyn today? What was the shooting about? I mean, that's what they're looking for.
Right, exactly. And it's funny because when you look at it and like it kind of, that's not news. That's gossiping. That's gossip. When you listen to the news, I don't know, we're going off topic, but it really kind of relates to this.
Yeah.
News is gossip. Understand that. News is something that actually affects you directly. So that person, that building in Brooklyn has nothing to do with you. It's not affecting your economic status. It's not affecting your job status. That is not news. Understand? So news is gossip. It's no different than me coming up to you. Yo, John, you heard about that dude in Brooklyn with the house that it burned down because he didn't turn off the radiator? Like, yo, that's crazy, son. Did you hear about, Papito, the grocery store right there on Queens that got robbed? Yeah, yo, he got shot. It's no different. It's just a different way of portraying it and presenting that, So it goes back to this, it's how it's portrayed and presented. When you go look at the end of the day, it's just, it's bullshit, it's just bullshit. So I think that's what it falls. Love the Motor Hulk. What we going on with? Everybody's chatting it up over here. What's going on?
Blowing up. I
see John up in here too. Everybody's up in here.
I was having David's dropping some great comments, and so is Blue Cow. I was just commenting to those guys.
Don't worry, they're just mentioning a bunch of comic series you or I have never.
A bunch of
books. I know that's what I'm saying. These nightmare blah. I don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. Anyway, let's make sure we stick to Marvel. All right, guys, stop fucking around. This is my show.
Hey, David mentioned Immortal Hulk.
I know. I saw that. I saw Immortal Hulk. That's why DJ Linsky, that's homie right there. He know what's up, man. And speaking of Immortal Hulk, let's transition because I know we're already over time. Guys, everybody who's in here, I'm gonna let y'all know in about an hour I'm gonna drop something new. It is actually, I'm working on a new project that I'm gonna be doing monthly. It is called Marvel Origin Versus. I am doing 16s of Marvel characters origins. You know what I mean? So I'm rapping to it. I'm taking beats off of like TikTok, doing these duets, and I'm doing a origin story, but in a 16. And of course today I'm gonna do my first one, which is my favorite, and of course it's gonna be Hulk. So I'm gonna be dropping Hulk's origin verse today. So I'm doing it on TikTok. Then of course I'm gonna put it in the reel on the IG. But I'm gonna be doing this monthly. Next month I got Wolverine. Then I got Galactus. I got Spider-Man. They're already done. You know what I'm saying? It's already done. It's just.
Can you put Hawkman in there?
Get the fuck out of here, man. But no, I'm actually going to be taking requests because I want people to, be a part of it as well. So this is something I'm going to be doing. I'm also going to be releasing them on Paul's show. Paul is working on some stuff. We're working together on stuff. So I'm going to be doing stuff with Paul. But tonight
I'm just gonna put the finishing touches. Morb, I'm just putting the finishing touches on that top 10 spec list. So
no doubt, I got you, brother.
Once I get that ready, we'll be ready to roll.
Now I know the stats are constantly fluctuating. You got to make sure
it is, man. I got a couple computers running, trying to.
I got you, brother. No, I know how it is, man. I know how it is. I'm here all day specking. So But yeah, guys, so I just wanted to say that. So for you guys who are in here, y'all get first dibs on it. Y'all already know what's gonna happen. Within the hour, I'm gonna drop that. And every month after that, I'm gonna be dropping on Origin Versus, man. And I hope y'all enjoy it. Hope y'all like it.
And we put Green Arrow and Green Lantern in there, please.
Anyway, so guys,
Black Goliath?
What?
Black
Unless you're bringing back the Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams run. I mean,
Okay.
John Stewart all day.
Jesus Christ, you guys.
I
No
believe he first
DC
appeared in there,
characters.
so
No, this is called Marvel
Captain Carrot?
Origin Stories. Marvel.
no green thermos or whatever his name is.
Right,
We don't need all
exactly. Green thermos. So, but guys, with that being said, I think it was a great show. I don't know about you. I enjoyed myself. Shout out to Skeme, my co-host. Shout out to John Comics with Kids, my guest. And shout out to Paul, my secondary backup co-host. Always in the clutch coming through as usual.
In the bullpen, warming up, man.
Always in the bullpen.
Like Rags Rigetti. I'm warming up.
Getting them triggers ready. And but guys, thank you to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody who was hanging out with us this whole time. I appreciate you guys. Make sure y'all tune in next week. I'm gonna have the brother Daryl. We're gonna be hanging out next week, and we're gonna be talking some stuff. We're gonna be talking about creators and artists and why we chasing these comics. You know what I mean? What is our drive behind these comics? Why are you looking after? Is it for the creator? Is it for the writing? Is it for the art? You know what I mean? Let's talk about it. Is it to grade it and flip it? You bastards. Don't you dare come on here with that shit. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, guys, I got to get out of here. I got something to do after this, as usual. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Y'all already know how we do here on Comic Relief. Peace.
Peace.